a tough adjustment in our house, but it's good. I mean, I have two other daughters, so my oldest is very into the baby, but
we always tease each other. He was, after I gave birth, he was like, oh my gosh, if I lost you and I, went to the park with our 3 kids, I'm
like something old, something borrowed, something blue, something new.
Wait, which one? Now I want to think of the scene.
Oh, I'm wearing her stuff all over it.
Oh, really?
Tons of like Bodhi, which is with a suit.
This is Report Stream, and we've got a major shakeup rocking Hollywood. What began as a seemingly ordinary creative disagreement between actress Blake Lively and director Justin Baldoni has now escalated into a full-scale legal war with staggering consequences. New reports suggest Lively could even be staring down the possibility of a 5-year prison sentence if claims about her fabricating or misrepresenting evidence are proven true in court. A stunning twist that has sent shockwaves through the entertainment world and left fans reeling, wondering how a project once celebrated for its emotional promise has unraveled into scandal, with one of Hollywood's most admired stars caught directly in the crossfire. At the center of this storm is a film adaptation of the best-selling novel It Ends With Us. When Baldoni first announced he would bring the book to the big screen, fans were thrilled. Known for his emotional, heartfelt storytelling, he was seen as the perfect fit to adapt such a powerful narrative. Casting Blake Lively in the lead only heightened expectations, as she was praised for her ability to balance humor, drama, and vulnerability. Together, the pairing looked like a dream match, and early interviews from both stars reflected excitement, passion, and mutual respect for honoring the novel's emotional depth. But once production began, cracks started to show. Reports claim Lively's camp pushed for a more modern interpretation, leaning into comedic tones, bolder fashion statements, and a stylized aesthetic meant to broaden the film's mainstream appeal. Baldoni's team, however, strongly resisted, insisting that the raw, heartfelt tone of the original story was essential and should not be compromised. As creative visions clashed, the tension only grew. Matters took a serious turn when Lively filed formal complaints, accusing Baldoni of dismissing her ideas and undermining her contributions. In response, Baldoni came armed with what he claimed was hard proof, production notes, text messages, and meeting transcripts, suggesting that Lively herself had advocated for the very changes she was now publicly condemning, including the comedic rewrites and extravagant wardrobe choices. This back and forth quickly moved beyond a private disagreement and erupted into a full-blown scandal. The situation reached new heights when Baldoni filed a staggering $400 million defamation lawsuit against Lively, a move that left Hollywood stunned and made it clear this was no longer a typical creative feud, but a legal war with enormous stakes. Just as it seemed the drama had reached its peak, an even more shocking twist emerged. Whispers began circulating that Lively may have gone further than misrepresentation, possibly tampering with or withholding key evidence during sworn testimony. Speculation intensified as reports surfaced about newly uncovered documents, private messages, and even potential video recordings that directly contradicted her statements. Instead of showing her as a victim of Baldoni's creative overreach, these materials allegedly revealed her enthusiastic support for the very comedic and fashion-driven direction she later disavowed. If proven true, these contradictions could expose Lively to charges of perjury or false representation, shifting the narrative from a professional clash to a criminal case. Legal experts warn that the consequences could be devastating, not only for her career but also for her personal freedom. With millions of dollars and reputations on the line, the industry is now watching with bated breath to see how far this case might go. What began as a promising film project meant to showcase love, resilience, and growth has instead spiraled into a cautionary tale of clashing egos, high-stakes lawsuits, and the dangerous intersection of art and law. With every new leak, filing, and rumor fueling the fire, the question looms larger than ever. Could Blake Lively, once considered a picture of Hollywood grace, actually be facing the unthinkable possibility of time behind bars?
There's one of the 2 people, maybe, and then I get a call from my managers, my agent, and they were both on the line, which means it's something serious.
Right.
Either you got the job or there's something.
I mean, honestly, the way that I get into a character is through their style. So it was more about who Lily is that was so fascinating.
Speculation is running wild over whether Blake Lively is simply reshaping her public image, or if she may have crossed a serious line that could bring criminal consequences. The controversy deepened when reports surfaced of emails, texts, and meeting logs allegedly showing Lively enthusiastically supported comedic touches and lavish costumes from the start of production. If authentic, the evidence would directly contradict her claims that she had been pressured into those choices. Legal experts warn that if her sworn testimony is found to conflict with this paper trail, she could face perjury charges or false statement accusations, crimes that, in some jurisdictions, carry sentences of up to 5 years in prison. Suddenly, what once looked like Hollywood gossip now feels like a very real legal threat. Public opinion remains split. Supporters argue Lively's reputation for comedy and style made it natural for her to suggest humor and fashion early in development. Actors often experiment with creative directions before realizing certain choices weaken a story's emotional weight. A few texts, they say, cannot capture how her perspective may have shifted over time. Critics, however, see it differently. They argue that Lively crafted a narrative of being marginalized in the creative process to tap into sympathy for women sidelined in Hollywood. But if evidence proves she not only supported but actively shaped the comedic scenes and wardrobes, her complaints could collapse into fabrications. For them, the issue is less about artistic disagreements and more about trust. When an actor's brand rests on authenticity, contradictions between public statements and documented actions can be devastating. Adding more intrigue are rumors that Ryan Reynolds may have influenced the script behind the scenes. Insiders claim his comedic expertise was tapped for rewrites that injected levity into otherwise heavy moments. Some speculate that Lively leaned on her husband's instincts, only to distance herself later when fans criticized leaked images showing a lighter tone and glossy fashion that clashed with the book's raw spirit. If true, this raises uncomfortable questions about whether she disowned creative choices she once championed, forgetting digital records rarely disappear. Whispers also suggest other celebrities within her circle may have pitched cameo ideas or comedic beats, making it harder for Lively to argue she had no role in the tonal shift. Her critics insist that even if she changed her mind later, it doesn't excuse misrepresenting her early enthusiasm. Her defenders counter that this is simply the messy reality of collaboration, trial and error, discarded ideas, and evolving creative visions. Still, the stakes have grown beyond creative conflict. What began as disagreements over tone and style has spiraled into a storm of lawsuits, leaked evidence, and talk of criminal charges. Whether the truth plays out in a courtroom or in the court of public opinion, one thing is certain: the drama surrounding Blake Lively shows no signs of slowing down.
That ended up actually getting picked up and doing very well. And I was one, two people maybe, and then I get a call from my manager and my agent, and they were both on the line, which means it's something serious.
Right. We're thinking of keeping her.
Yeah. Does she play with her? What does she think?
Well, she
Over time, the comedic elements in It Ends With Us may have taken on a life of their own, overwhelming the essence of Colleen Hoover's novel. From Blake Lively's perspective, fragments of text messages and emails cannot fully capture the frustration she felt as humor and fashion choices began to overshadow the raw emotional weight of the story. Her defenders insist that the so-called smoking guns uncovered by Justin Baldoni's legal team do not prove dishonesty, but instead highlight the natural struggles of a star caught between her own instincts and a project that evolved beyond her control. Yet the debate always circles back to the most explosive possibility: legal consequences. For Lively to truly face a 5-year prison sentence, prosecutors would need undeniable evidence that she deliberately misled the court or manipulated the legal process. Experts emphasize that the bar for such charges is extremely high. A mere change of opinion about creative direction is not a crime. Prosecutors would need proof of outright falsehoods delivered under oath. Still, the persistence of these rumors suggests that the evidence Baldoni's team claims to have may be substantial, or at least damaging enough to shape public perception. Some legal observers believe the whispers of prison are little more than strategy. They argue Baldoni's side is deliberately leaking hints of criminal liability to intimidate Lively into retreat or to push her toward settlement. In Hollywood disputes, this tactic is common. Escalate the stakes through carefully placed leaks until the other side grows fearful of reputational collapse. But this case carries an added twist: the looming shadow of criminal scrutiny. Even the suggestion that perjury is on the table has raised the stakes far beyond what most defamation lawsuits ever reach. The revelations only grow more tangled. Recently surfaced documents allegedly place Lively at the center of early creative meetings. Records suggest she actively brainstormed comedic lines with the writing team and even endorsed extravagant wardrobe fittings, calling one a bold move to captivate modern audiences. If authentic, those details directly conflict with her later claims of being blindsided by a lighter tone and lavish costuming. To her critics, this is devastating. Evidence that she crafted a false narrative to shield herself from fan backlash. Fans of the novel, however, remain hopeful. Many cling to the belief that the film could still succeed, that its emotional themes will break through despite tonal experiments. But as the legal war drags on, the film's future looks grim. Marketing campaigns have stalled. Investors are reluctant to back a project that has become a lightning rod for scandal. And insiders whisper that Lively's situation may echo other Hollywood implosions, where accusations of dishonesty permanently scarred reputations once thought untouchable. In an industry obsessed with optics, even the suggestion that a star misled the court is enough to make studios hesitate. Add the specter of a potential prison term, and the risk becomes nearly unthinkable. No major studio wants to pour millions into a release whose lead actress is simultaneously battling headlines about perjury. Lively's legal team has responded aggressively. They dismiss the incarceration rumors as scare tactics and argue that their client has been forthright throughout. Her early enthusiasm for comedic beats and bold fashion, they say, reflected nothing more than the natural evolution of any creative project. By the time she began raising concerns, her perspective had shifted to protect the novel's emotional core. Changing one's mind, they insist, is not deception, it's artistic judgment. Still, doubt lingers. The longer the case drags on, the more the public wonders, is Blake Lively the victim of Hollywood politics, or the architect of her own unraveling? The uncertainty has left both the film and her career suspended in limbo. Central to the escalating conflict is the question of context. Baldoni's team has presented fragments of texts and emails, but Lively supporters argue that a single line stripped from its timeline can be misleading. A joke sent in jest or a quick approval during early brainstorming, they argue, cannot be treated as binding proof of intent. Yet Baldoni's camp continues to emphasize one detail above all, the possibility that Lively's sworn testimony contradicts the record. And if that is true, the maximum penalty under perjury statutes is indeed 5 years. Whether such a sentence would ever be imposed is another matter, but the number alone makes for sensational headlines. Adding another layer of complexity, defamation claims traditionally center on reputational harm, not jail time. Baldoni asserts that Lively's statements painted him as a director who sidelined his female star, damaging his standing in the industry. If new evidence confirms she supported the very choices she later condemned, his case strengthens considerably. Still, legal experts caution that even in high-stakes cases, defamation rarely leads to criminal charges. Most end with retractions, financial settlements, or confidential agreements. The true risk to Lively lies in whether her sworn words clash directly with documented evidence. Behind closed doors, settlement talks are rumored to be intense. Both sides have strong incentives to avoid a trial. For Lively, cross-examination could expose contradictions in painful detail. For Baldoni, dragging the case into open court risks scrutiny of his own conduct as director. A private settlement could allow both to walk away with reputations battered but careers salvageable. Yet the possibility of criminal referral complicates any quiet resolution. No financial deal can erase the shadow of perjury. Meanwhile, whispers have spread that other Hollywood figures may have influenced the film's direction. Some insiders suggest that Ryan Reynolds, Lively's husband, offered comedic guidance in early rewrites. Others claim celebrity friends floated cameo ideas or stylistic flourishes. If true, Lively's insistence that she was forced into a comedic vision becomes harder to defend. Yet her allies maintain that this is precisely how film development works. Ideas are thrown out, tested, and sometimes abandoned. To them, treating early enthusiasm as binding evidence of dishonesty is a distortion. The fallout for It Ends With Us is undeniable. Life courtroom drama has permanently eclipsed the fictional one. For critics of Lively, the 5-year sentence has become symbolic. It represents what they see as the cost of manipulating public sympathy with dishonest narratives. For her defenders, it is an intimidation tactic, a wildly disproportionate escalation designed to scare her into retreat. The truth likely lies somewhere in between, a high-stakes legal chess game where perception is as powerful as fact. Ultimately, the trajectory of this saga rests on the strength of the evidence. If texts, emails, and production logs clearly show that Lively fabricated her story, her troubles could spiral into criminal territory. If the records are vague, subject to interpretation, or simply reflect the messy nature of collaboration, she may avoid the worst outcomes. Her credibility might be bruised, but her freedom intact. For now, the central mystery remains unresolved. Was this simply a creative misunderstanding, magnified by clashing egos, or a calculated attempt to reshape the truth? Until the courts rule, or new leaks surface, the case will remain suspended between rumor and reality. What began as a Hollywood dream project has become a cautionary tale about the fragility of image, the permanence of digital records, and the high cost of dishonesty in an industry where perception is everything. As one insider put it, the film may or may not survive, but the story of the scandal will outlive it. And that reality leaves both Hollywood and audiences bracing for whatever explosive twist comes next.